Google Sites for Nonprofits. In this tutorial, we'll take a look at how you can create a simple Google site that will allow you to share your calendars, videos, links, and Google Documents with your clients. Let's get started. Okay, in order to start our Google site, we have to make sure that we're using Chrome as our browser first. Make sure you log in to your Gmail account, of course. Then go over to where the little Google Apps are, the little waffle icons, the little dots here. Click on that and go to Google Drive. There's a couple different ways to start a new Google site. I find this way the easiest, but there are different ways to do it if you want to look into that. I go to New, More, and under More I will find Google Sites. There it is. So I'm clicking on that and it's going to go ahead and create my website. For our first one, we're going to do a board member website. So I'm going to just call this board. And you can change the name later. So you can see already I've got a very basic website. I'm going to take and stop for a second and take a look around because it's important. We're going to be using all these tools, but sort of orientate yourself to where everything is. This is your website that you're looking at, this center part. It has a title up above, and in the white space down below here, you're going to be adding content like text or documents. Over here along the top, you have a bunch of icons, redo, undo, different ones. We'll take a look at all these as we go through the tutorial, but make sure you've seen those. The publish button is what you'll use when you're ready to get this website out and share it with people. Okay, we'll be looking at that too. Then insert, along here you have insert, pages, and themes. Insert is the menu you use to add things to your website. For example, a text box, images, stuff from Drive. If you scroll down, you'll also see there's calendar, placeholders, slides. Lots you can do with this. Okay, so the insert one is something you'll use a lot. Pages, well, most websites are made up of more than one page. Right now you have one page. It's called Home. Here you'd click the plus and you'd be able to add additional pages to it. Okay? Finally, you've got the theme button, and this lets you have some control over how your website looks if you want a little bit of a customized look for it. You need to understand that Google Sites is not a full-blown web design software. It's meant more as a tool to let you easily share content that you have on your Google account, things like calendars and forums, that type of thing. So it has some limitations from a design perspective. Okay? So you have your menus here, the inserts, what we'll be using really soon. We'll look at all these icons. Let's go on to step 2. One of the most essential parts of building a website is to have a plan, to have some idea what order and how you want to organize what you're sharing with other people. I've created a plan for what we're going to build now. It's very simple. We're going to create 3 pages on our website. One is about the board. The other one's where we're going to share calendar and minutes. And the other one will be resources, where we'll put a folder with documents and maybe links to a couple websites, maybe even a video for some proper board behavior or something like that. So this is a simple site. You would want to think about this a lot before you actually start building something, is to get a really good idea on what your organizational structure is going to be like. Okay, we now have an organizational structure for our website. So we'll start with our home page, and I put up here about the board. You could say board members, whatever you want. I just change that by clicking on it and typing in. Then I'm going to change the actual name of the page. You say right now it's set to home, and I'm going to click on that and say properties and call this about us. And you can see that's gonna actually change the name of the page, which is gonna be good for how your menu works in a minute. So let's add another page, this little plus sign down here. And the next one was calendars and minutes. I'm gonna just say calendar. And the final page we were making was about, if we refer back to it was about resources and documents. So I'm going to call that resources. And I've created my 3 pages of my website. And you can see along the menu here, I've got the About Us, Resources, and Calendar. And when I click on those, it's going to go to the different pages. Okay? So I've created all my pages. Now I'm going to need to add some content. Okay, as you probably already figured out, you're going to be using the insert menu to put most of your content onto your page. So I'm going to go back to my About Us page, and let's go to Insert. Something I want to point out here too is you do have some layouts that you can use for this page, and I think maybe I'll try one here, and I'm going to put people's faces in and maybe a little text about them. Board member, so you would add an image, and this is where you can say select image. You can upload an image, so if you had images that you saved of each board member, if you have them on the drive, you can select them from there. Keep in mind that any images or things, any kind of document that you're sharing needs to be given rights so people can view it. So if you make a web page and then all your content is locked down so only you have the right to view it, then no one's going to see content. So you have to make sure that people have view access to anything that you want them to see. Okay, if you don't understand that, then you need to look more into Google Drive and documents and how they're shared and what the sharing permissions are. So I'm just going to select a random image. You would, of course, have something more important than that. I'm going to just do Bill Gates will be our first board member. See if I can find a picture of him. Perfect. All right, Bill. And you get the idea. You can add as many images in here as you want. So I'll give you some time to do that, and I'll pause the video while you do that. Okay, as you can see, we have a pretty high-hitting group of board members for our organization. You can add and edit text down below here just by clicking on things and putting them in. The little thing that's sometimes overlooked on the left-hand side here, next to this little block of images you just put in, there's a background thing, so you can choose an emphasis to change the color, or even put an image in the background. I'm gonna make mine. I think I'll use that blue. I think it's anyway. You can play around with that a bit. Now, a good way to think about Google Sites is these are sort of building blocks, like Lego building blocks. You just inserted a sort of a section. So if you wanted to put more in, like let's just go to Insert again. That's a tool we use a lot, and just a simple text box. If you click on it, and then here you know, welcome to our board. You can put whatever text you want in. You have some control over whether it's a title, headings, subheadings, that type of thing. So I'll let you fill in something right there while you pause the video. Okay, and as you can see, I just put a little thing about the board members. I'm going to go to this little background selector again, and I think I'm going to turn it to emphasis 2. Makes it a little bit of a gray. Now, if you notice, there's a little handle right here too. You can grab this, and let's say I wanted it to come before this. I can move. You can move these. They're like modules, like Lego, like I said before, that you can move around. So I put that at the top. Okay. I'm going to say I'm happy with my first page, and that it's going to be something I'm going to maybe edit a little, but it's got the basic layout and the basic information in that I want it to have. So if I go to my pages, and now I'm going to go to my calendar. Let's do the calendar page next. You probably guessed it already. If you go to Insert, you're going to have lots of ways you can insert things, and let's go find Calendar. Now, I'm assuming that you have to have a calendar created on your calendar that is specific to the board, or if you have a general calendar that you want to share with them, that's fine. So you go through here. I've got a couple calendars, but I'm just going to use the birthday one just to have something to insert. When you put it in, you can do a couple different things. I like for a calendar page to make this nice and big. So I'm going to stretch it out, the width of the page. And then I'm going to go this little, this looks like a gear. And I'm going to set the agenda mode. I'm going to set it to the monthly mode, the month mode. You can see that there's a couple other settings in here. And click Done. And I'm going to stretch it a little taller too. So you see how I'm sort of controlling what's in this block. Okay. So I don't have anything on this calendar, but you can get the idea that this would be a great way for you to share a calendar with whoever you're wanting to share it with. Once again, the calendar settings need to be set so it's viewable by the people you want to be able to see it. So that's a Google Drive setting once again. So all right, so I'm happy with my first 2 pages, which were about us and calendar. Now I'm going to look at resources. Now this is a great place. You can add all kinds of things in here, and I'll show you a couple things. You can do insert, and you could do from your drive. I'm going to scroll down, and let's say I have a slideshow that I want to put in here, so I'm going to click slides, and I have a little sample slideshow, and this might be a slideshow from your last board meeting or something that someone who's presenting to the board shared with them. So I'm going to insert a slideshow, and once again, like everything else in Google, these are like blocks, so I can grab it, I can move it to one side or the other, I can make it bigger, smaller. So this is kind of cool. I think I'm going to move it to the right, and then I might put an explanation to it. So you could go insert text, or now you're getting kind of fancy here. If you go here and double click, you get a little box that pops up and put the text in, and then you could put a description of the slideshow. This was the slideshow shown to us by such and such foundation at last board meeting. Have a review it or whatever. It gives you a chance to put a resource in there. Of course, inserting things like another calendar, separate calendar, a document. So let's pop a document in here. Once again, I have to really state that any document you're putting in here that you want people to be able to see or edit, they have to have those rights. Even it doesn't automatically change just because you put it on your website. Now you can see my document shows up here. I can, just like everything else, if I want to squish it down and make it sort of a mini icon of the document, I can do that, squish it around, and then that allows me to add another document next to it or a description. I'm going to double click again, do text, and say, please open this document before next board meetings. So pretty cool. Of course, you can do the same thing with slides, with sheets, with forms, with charts, all the things that you find on your Google Drive. There's one I really like too, which if I go down here, and now I'm going to go to my insert, and say drive. If you had a folder on your drive that had like all your board minutes in it, or all whatever you had, I can go and find that folder. I'm going to use my general tech folder, insert that, and then this is kind of cool that it'll list it's sort of a shortcut to your Google Drive, and once again, people have to have the rights to view these, but it's a kind of cool way to do it. When you're clicked on it, you see the little gear. You can also change it from list view to grid view, which maybe is not going to look great in this, but then this is a kind of like how your Google Drives too, and then the people would just click on them. Now you might notice, oh, I don't see them all. Your user will see everything in there when you publish this, okay? I'm going to change it back to list view. Okay, we're going to pause for a second and get right back to you. Okay, so you've seen how to put most content on. One I want to make sure you get a chance to try because I think it's very cool is the YouTube. And let's say you've found a YouTube video that covers the next topic your board's going to talk about, or something on board norms or something like that you want people to have access to. Let's see if they happen to have anything on YouTube. You would do more research in this. Okay, so Norm's board. Not quite the same thing, but you get the idea that it lets you put a video in, and then same thing, I can double click next to it and add some text to tell people watch this video, or what do you think of this video. If you want to get really slick, you can do something like post a video and then add a form and collect people's feedback on, I enjoyed this video. The most important part of this video I thought was, how does this video affect our board norms or things we're trying to do in the board. So it gives you an idea that there's a lot of power in this, and a lot of the power comes from combining things like text with video with the form maybe a slideshow, an image, different things. Okay, I'm going to stop for now, and we're going to talk about preview in just a second. All right, so this is pretty cool. I have created a website that includes 3 pages. Now, of course, you do a lot more work on this to make it perfect and make everybody love what you're doing and all that, but I'm going to say it's good enough for now. And one of the questions that should be in your mind is, what does the user see? So when I look at this, I see all these menus and stuff. Of course, your user's not going to do that. And there's a great button up here called Preview. When you click on Preview, it will bring up your website, what it's going to look like for users. Now, that's pretty cool. I can start with my About Us. Let's go there and back and look. Oh yeah, I got my big hitters, my text, my background. Let's go to Resources. And I've got my slideshow in there. Pretty cool. I have Google Doc. I have that folder that I shared in there. And my norms board. Now, and the calendar too, of course. And let's say I think that looks pretty good. Another thing, a wise thing to do is say, what would it look like on a smartphone? And that's what this icon here is for. It kind of gives you an idea what what navigation is like for a person who's looking at this smartphone, since more and more people view by mobile devices like that. Then you have the tablet thing, which is someone like on an iPad. How would they see this? It's a good idea to check this to make sure you're getting kind of the look and the feel that you were hoping for. Okay? To get out of preview mode, I just click the X. Alright, so you got a pretty good idea how to make a website now, and there should be, you can go back and fiddle around with themes, colors, and go through here and see if there's something that you like better than what you had. You can change these anytime and then go back. I think I'll stick with that. If you go back to the pages and we're going to go to About Us again. Remember, you can go in here and change this image at any of these. If you want to update the images, you can add images in the background here, or add in an emphasis, right? So you can spend some time kind of playing around and customizing things. Okay, so here, these little dots you'll see them on a lot of Google documents. It's a nice place for you to look. You can kind of keep track of things. Version history is a lot like documents. It lets you track as changes are made, what changes were made. This gear right here will give you some little more, slightly more advanced tools where, for example, when I've got the navigation mode, I can change it to the side. So I'll show you what that looks like. So now when I do preview, you remember before I had, let's turn it back to full computer. Before I had the menu along the top, now I have it here, and I can go About Us. That's a stylistic thing, whether you choose what you like. So there's a few other things you can play around with in here that you can kind of take a look at, but most of them aren't needed for a basic website. So we've seen, what undo and redo thing, just like on any Google Documents. Preview, that's important. Don't worry about that yet because we haven't published our site. Share with others. Now, this is kind of cool because if, let's say, you're co-developing a web page, you're not just you creating it, you can click here and you can add people who can go in and modify it along with you. So if I wanted to add Annie in, make her an editor and send, she would get a link right now that says you have the rights to go in and edit this page. So she could go make changes. Really collaborative, great tool for co-developing a website. Okay, I'm going to stop for now, and the next section is going to be about publishing. Okay, I've gotten to the point where I feel like my web page is ready to be shared with others so that they can see the content on it. Remember, it's always a good idea to check under preview, and that's what gives you the kind of the user version of what this is going to look like. So you can go double check that before you do anything else to make sure it does look the way you want it to look. Remember that any documents or calendars or anything from Google Drive that is put into this that you want people to see, they have to have the rights to view it, okay? So, publish. Oh, I'm going to change one thing because I don't like the menu like that. I'm going to go to my little gear here, and I'm going to set it back to top menu. Once again, just a personal preference, but I like the menu right along the top like that. It's easier for me to get around. Okay, so here's your publish button, and you'll click on that, and you would stop for a second and take a look at this. So it's saying it's about to create a website for you. You can put a web address in here, and so I'm going to say board. I'm going to start with that and say, oop, great address was already taken. So I'm going to do board power, and if you did something, you know, and there, it would let me create this. So if I create this website, it's going to be called sites.google.com view board power. And then you can, with your own URL, which you guys have, you can actually manage something under your own domain. So I don't have a domain, so I can't show you that. But and then it's going to say who can view my site. Right now it's set to anyone. So by default, you're making a public web page. It means that anybody could go out there and find your web page potentially and read the information on it, of course, based on how you saved or how you shared your documents on it. I'm going to click on that manage, and this is where you can get down and get sort of customizable. So if you just wanted your website to be available to certain people, you can change that and only make people, the only person, if I publish my website right now, the only person who's going to be able to see it is Annie. So you can go through and customize that as much as you want. And I'm going to cancel this because I don't really want this page to go public, but you get the idea. Good idea once you publish a website to have a friend check it. So you send them the link, you say, here's my new web page, we take a look at it. Another great way to try things is to go into the incognito mode of your Google browser, which if you go up to file, you do new incognito mode, and this brings you into a window that you're not officially logged into. So if you pasted your web address in up here, it would be like an anonymous user going to look at your web page. So it's a good way to kind of test things, to see if people could see the documents you want them to see or not see the documents you don't want them to see. Okay, so that's publish. We can get more into publish as you create a web page and you really are ready to get out there and share it with the world. But you have quite a bit of control over who can edit your page, who can view your page, that type of thing. Okay, all right, thanks.